Parkerville Children's Home, or Parkerville Waifs Home as it was known then, started on the 5th of May 1903. And it started with two sisters from the community of the church arriving here on our shores with 22 orphan children. Amazing. And they bought a block of land up in Parkerville that was 18 acres for £280 when the population of Mundaring was 200 people. An interesting thing about our history and the start of our organisation is that people commonly think that the land was bought by the church, but in actual fact the land wasn't. The land was actually bought by Sister Kate's family back in England and her friends. And that's the campus that we have now. So to this day, we still have our original site as our campus. We're no longer an orphanage. We were an orphanage for some 70 years of our existence, in fact the first 70 years, but orphanages are no longer needed in WA. When we started, orphanages were very much needed. Indeed, it was a sad time for this state. There was baby farming that was occurring. There were people that were taking children from single mothers, from mothers that had died, and giving them to people that brought these children up, particularly for slave labour. So Sister Kate and Sister Jane, the way that they started the organisation, had no trouble canvassing for business. There were so many vulnerable children that required the services that they provided. And so for those early years, we were very much an orphanage that was recognised as a key orphanage in this state. It's very easy to say Sister Kate and Sister Jane were our two most prominent heroes, and indeed they were. They were pioneers. They came to an 18-acre block of land in 1903 that had a single hut and a barn. I mean, think about it. There's no iPad or iPhones or any technology was there. There was not even any transport up there. And they did it tough with 22 kids. However, they are well recognised in our history. Other people, one most significant was Walter Padbury, who wasn't as recognised. And Walter Padbury came to the Sisters' Aid. And he came to the Sisters' Aid by providing bread making machine, washing machines, planted fruit trees. But probably the most important thing that he did for our organisation was lobby the people of the Shire of Mundaring to come and help this campus that had vulnerable children. And they did. And within a few years, we had two brick buildings that were put up predominantly from the lobbying of a very strong advocate in Walter Padbury. One of the most prominent things that Walter Padbury did was to lobby politicians, and the then governor of the day, Governor Bedford, was lobbied by Walter Padbury that we needed to have some legislation about the care of vulnerable children. So in 1914, the first legislation in this state was written about vulnerable children. And I guess we're very proud to think that it was written, the catalyst for that work was done by one of our heroes, Walter Padbury. Walter, we found out later, just before he died, had indeed been an abused child. And so therefore that was his reason to want to come and help the sisters so prominently. And he left quite an acreage of land bestowed to Parkerville for its use, and that has come to be enormously helpful for us today. Modern day heroes, of course, we have many modern day heroes. George Jones is one that's prominent. Adam Rankin Wilson, who sadly passed away last year, is another one. But you know, I think every single staff member or volunteer that has come through this organisation is a hero for committing themselves to this type of work. Yeah, it's a wonderful story. Our logo was designed on the basis of what happened in World War One. Most of the boys that came over with Sister Jane and Sister Kate signed up in the First World War. Sister Jane and Sister Kate were very patriotic English ladies and encouraged the boys to go and fight for king and country. And they did. And sadly, 6 of them didn't return. You'll see on our logo it has 6 petals. Each petal is dedicated to commemorate the life lost by one of the original Parkerville boys, and that has become our logo, and we're very proud of that. In August of every year, the 10th Light Horse come and have a commemorative event at Parkerville, where one of our boys actually died at the Battle of the Neck, and that whole sacrifice that the boys gave their lives to is commemorated on that day. Changing our name from Parkerville Children's Home to Parkerville Children and Youth Care was a very strategic one. Parkerville Children's Home gave an impression to many of our corporate and community philanthropists of being institutionalised. We weren't an institution. We didn't want to be regarded as an institution. We want to be regarded as a not-for-profit organisation that provides a range of services. The second reason was the word youth. About 40% of the clients that we were caring for and providing treatment for were teenagers. They were youth. So children and youth went well together. And the care factor, care came right from the start of the values that were brought to us by Sister Kate and Sister Jane. So care is our core value. Hence we changed our name to Parkerville, our original campus, children and youth being our main clients, and care being our core value.